Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and I guess we're all very concerned about the impact of the coronavirus across the board, not only from the health point of view, but also economically. Today, Wall Street was actually suspended for 15 minutes in trading because of the crater fall that it had created, not only with the S&P 500, but across the board, and the impact around the world, and in particular in China. Well, very timely to have with us today Marc Bernstein. He's the fiscal therapist, speaker, author of Fiscal Therapy Solution 1.0, 6 Steps to Personal and Business Financial Health. And you may want to check that out. That's a picture of the cover of his book there for those of you watching on the Dub TV. And Marc, M-A-R-C, Bernstein.com is his website. Marc, good to see you. How are you, friend?
Good, thank you. If I can just say Marc J. Bernstein.
Marc at
marcjbernstein.com.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry.
I didn't see the J hidden in there.
Great, no problem. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Look what coronavirus is doing to the economy. First of all, what did you think of the impact on the big board this morning?
Well, it's a little crazy. I can't say I'm totally surprised. You know, there's a lot of people were panicking, you know, and I do think we just came out of a conversation with an investment manager that we work with. And, you know, one of the things is I'll hold it up. It's these things.
Yeah.
You know, it's everything is so immediate because of phones and because of social media and because of the immediacy of everything that people are in a panic. Our economy is really on a pretty good trend overall if it weren't for this event. In addition, I think what's going on in China, I think the Chinese have their arms around it to a certain extent, especially the market aspect, the supply chain aspect of it. A lot of manufacturers that have suspended manufacturing are going to be back soon. We don't know the extent of the disease, but we, you know, are optimistic that maybe this is a short term, maybe a few month kind of thing rather than we don't think it's a year's kind of thing. So the other thing I'll mention is the volatility index, which we look pretty closely, is at 56 at the moment. It was over 60 this morning. The average overall is about 17 to 19. And for the last few years, it's been running at, you know, low, like 9, 10, 11, 12, things like that. And it was at 60 this morning. So wow. There is much volatility in the air right now. My message to people is have a good plan, stay to your plan, and diversify your assets beyond just the equities and the bond markets, and you will be okay.
Couple things. The Fed's trying to offset this with interest rates declining. Some even talking 0%. Will that help?
Short term, it will help. Certainly, it's helping. You know, we work with a lot of real estate developers, and they are financing like crazy right now. And building. People are still optimistic about the economy in general. I do believe it will help short term. We just don't want to go into negative interest rates, which I don't believe we will. Okay.
So back to China. What impact has this had on them so far?
Well, it's, you know, so many people are quarantined and out of work that it's, you know, that it's putting a big halt on a lot of production. As I mentioned, I think that's starting to come back. There were some indicators in the Chinese economy anyway before this even happened. You know, growth has been really average since the Cultural Revolution, 1976. It's been averaging about over 9% growth. This past quarter, growth was about 6%. The current quarter was projected for 4%. And there's different reasons for that besides the virus. They have a lot of unemployed migrant workers, as an example. And many of them they're starting to search for ways, encouraging them to continue their education or retire. So there aren't as many people looking for jobs. But the number I saw recently was 290 million people. That's not that far off from the population of the U.S. of migrant workers that are unemployed. So that's hurting the economy to some extent. The virus certainly is putting a short-term knock on things, but again, the basic feeling is that We don't know exactly the situation with how many people are really ill there. We don't know exactly how much the virus is contained, but we do know that they have plans to get back to production pretty soon, which is the main things impacting our economy. The Chinese economy, we'll have to see what's going to happen with that.
Can we trust the exports? I mean, how do we know that the goods aren't contaminated?
That's a good question, and Perry, I don't have an answer for you on that. I do believe that that our government is looking at that. I think there are a lot of controls, but I don't have a good answer for that one.
Let's come back to your book, Fiscal Therapy Solution 101. What do you want folks to get from this book?
You know, if you look at the financial services industry today, it's become a lot more advanced, but I think that there is still a drive to product. I think that most companies and people are talking about planning and talking about process, but if you really look at it, a lot of the world is still transactional. It's brokerage oriented. Particular products are in the minds of the sellers. And my book advocates for having a process that really helps the individual. Many of my clients are business owners, understand what their long-term goals are, where they're headed, what it is they want to do, what kind of risk they can tolerate in the big picture. If you have a business, what kind of risk does that entail? Don't invest in the same kind of risks, you know, in your investment portfolio. Diversify as much as you can. As an example, at one time I had a lot of medical doctors as clients, and their first thing was to run to healthcare stocks because it was something they knew about. Mm-hmm. When we had changes in our healthcare system and we had changes in the pharmaceutical markets and other things, it kind of all went down together around the time of the financial crisis. A better idea would be to invest in things that aren't the same risks that you're investing in on a daily basis in your business or in your work. So that's something that most firms don't really take into consideration. So a very thorough process will enlighten people on those kind of issues and educate them on types of investments that can really give them true diversification, which is probably the right answer for kind of long-term streams of income, which they might need at retirement or for their financial independence or for legacy needs or whatever it is. So the message of the book is process first, product is the last thing that you talk about, rather than the other way around, which I think is how a lot of the financial world operates.
All right, the book is entitled Fiscal Therapy Solution 101, 6 Steps to Personal and Business Financial Health by Marc, M-A-R-C, J. Bernstein. Check it out, marcjbernstein.com. Marc, I want to come back to this free fall today on the market, and it would triggered a stop for a while. Do you expect another one? Do you expect another stop?
Well, one thing I will tell you is that, you know, we've had a really good bull market for a long time, and it can't keep going up forever. So there's a lot of volatility out there. You know, our political situation is somewhat volatile. Political situations around the world are volatile. So I have expected volatility to increase for quite a while, and it remained pretty consistently low. So I'm not surprised that volatility has returned. I don't expect it to continue at the current levels that it is today, but I don't expect the relatively smooth ride that we've had in recent years either. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we have more ups and downs. So again, the answer is to have a good long-term plan, be very well diversified, not just in stocks and bonds, but other alternative investments as well. And, you know, and have a good long-term plan. If you don't need the money tomorrow, you haven't lost anything. You haven't lost it till you actually need it. So there are lots of other ways to protect your income needs, protect your legacy, et cetera. And so I don't panic from that perspective, but I do think we're going to see more volatility and we're going to see more ups and downs in the markets than we're used to in recent years.
Even crude oil took a hit today, down $22. I think it's somewhere around $32 a barrel. Now, we're a little bit energy sustainable here in our own country, but boy, this has got to rock the Middle East, don't you think?
Absolutely. And that's another place that you expect volatility, and it's been fairly low. So again, it's not a surprise. And I do think, you know, the market is dropping big time today, and that's probably the biggest reason for it today, even more so than the coronavirus. So that is that is kind of a shock to the financial world for sure.
Okay, because that becomes international quickly at $32
Right.
a barrel. I mean, they can't even afford to pull it out of the ground for that price.
Right. So we're going to see issues as a result of that.
All right.
Correct.
Well, thank you for your time. Fascinating. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, Mark's book is entitled titled Fiscal Therapy Solution 1.0, and it's the 6 steps for personal and business financial health. You may want to check that out. Marc, M-A-R-C, Bernstein.com is his website. Thank you, Marc. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Perry. It's a pleasure to talk to you today.
Okay.